Jean Chrétien said yesterday that looking at the polls, he thinks we should go to an election now. Are we ready?
Well, not in an ideal sense, but could we rise to the occasion? Sure. We've had to deal with elections that came suddenly before because of defeat and that. Sure, we can be ready, but it's not easy to know where the heads of the other two opposition parties are because everything doesn't turn on polls, but anybody who's involved in politics is crazy if they don't follow them. And there's a trend, and the trend is that our numbers are slowly going up, and sometimes you'll go 2 steps forward and maybe 1 step backward, but the momentum is favorable to us at the moment. And when I think of elections and timing, my sort of favorite motto is one word, and that word is crescendo. And sometimes I think what's more important than exactly where you are is what direction are you going in. So some might argue that if the Bloc thought the numbers in Quebec were such that they'd lose 15 to 20 seats, would they push that button? Well, we don't know, but we may find out. And the NDP, they have a tendency to sort of always be holier than everybody else, and so on some things they may have a hard time defending, not voting for the defeat of the government. But having said all that, I think it's also fair to say that Canadians don't they're not champing at the bit for an election. We have had 3 in 4 years, 04, 06, 08, and it's only 6 months since the last one. So, the moment will come. The sun, moon, and stars will sort of align themselves in due course, and when they do, we'll be able to rise to the occasion.
Yesterday, when he was when he was introducing Stéphane Dion, Michael Ignatieff said that he was committed to upholding Stéphane's commitment to running 1/3 female candidates. Is Michael willing to use the power of appointment to make sure that we get to that level?
I believe if we have to do it, we will do it. I was actually very involved in that tool becoming available in about 91, 92, and I was one of the chairs in the 93 election and used it in a number of occasions because we were not going to get to where we needed to be unless we did. Several legal actions were taken against me personally, never successfully. Most of them were just threatening letters, but there were several writs issued. But I felt very strongly about it. And, we were in the 36-37% range last time, and I was co-chair of the last election too. And that was as high a percentage as any party had ever had. We would have broken the record, but then one woman candidate from Manitoba had to step down for some unacceptable comments that she had made. But we still were as high as any party's ever been. I actually think the NDP was about that level several elections ago, but nobody was ever higher. And so when Michael says that we'll do what we have to do to make sure that we hit the third as a floor, we'll do what we have to do.
You were the co-chair of the last campaign, and we got the figures out recently on spending from that campaign.
Yeah.
And we saw that we did not spend the limit. We spent, I think, a good deal less, which I don't think was kind of surprising to a lot of people. Was that a conscious decision to save some money? And will we spend the limit next time? Do we have the resources to spend the limit next time?
Well, to begin with, we didn't really have the resources last time. Could we have spent another, it was in the $4.5 to $5 million range, but we would have had to go into debt. In other words, it's not that there was money in the bank. We were already in debt, and the debt would have had to be increased more to the $4.5, $5 million range. And I, for one, didn't see the case. And I think it's, I'm not sure that it would have made an appreciable difference, to tell you the truth. I mean, money helps in elections, but it's not everything. You know, you can't buy them. You go back to the 93 campaign, you know, whether you like it or not, after 9 years of the Conservative government, mostly under Mulroney, Campbell the last few months, but they had a huge war chest. They won 2 seats. There are a lot of other reasons for it, including the split. But I mean, the fact they had a huge war chest didn't save them. They wound up with 2 seats. So it's important, it's necessary, but at the end of the day, it's not the most decisive thing in an election. So I'm quite aware of all those figures. And it's not as if we were sitting on a war chest. We would have had to go in debt further to spend those monies.
But if we do have an election this fall and we see that there is good use for spending the limit, there's a case there, will we have the resources to be able to make that call?
Well, first of all, you know, there is legislation that funds a certain amount, and so you know what the basis is going to be. And would we like more? Sure, we'd always like more, and have our numbers dramatically increased in recent months, yes, and this is a matter of public record, and it's been discussed and all that. We'd like to build the war chest up larger, but is the final outcome going to be determined solely on this? No, it's other things. It's a factor, but it's not everything.